Team Fortress 2 is one of the greatest games of all time. It has left a legacy on the entire industry through its memorable classes, outrageous hats, stupid taunts, silly memes, and, of course, its exciting gameplay. Oh, that was so good. Well, it's been a while, again, but hey, at least I now have some videos planned, so I should be able to get this channel back on track. I'm going to release another gameplay video in the upcoming week, so keep an eye out for that. Anyway, let's get back to the video. If you haven't already, go check out this video by LazyPurple. He explains everything you need to know about TF2's appeal. To summarize his points, TF2's very rewarding movement is combined with powerful burst damage weapons, resulting in a very dynamic playstyle that has an essentially unlimited skill cap. It's amazing how fast the action can be in this game. A single player interaction can be shorter than 1 second. And, in many cases, these interactions can be determined by the weapon the player is using. TF2 is movement-based, so, in general, weapons which increase movement speed or health are going to have a larger effect than weapons which increase damage output. For example, the soldier can exchange a theoretically higher damage output with a shotgun in exchange for much greater rocket jumping flexibility with the gunboats. This completely changes the way a soldier plays, encouraging the player to figure out how to get better at rocket jumping to take advantage of the additional flexibility. However, some weapons don't really follow this rule. The Babyface's blaster is practically a downgrade, even though it gives the scout a theoretically higher movement speed. On the other hand, the Kritzkrieg guarantees critical hits, raising damage rather than providing invulnerability, but it still has a spot in competitive play. When we look beyond weapon stats, we can begin to look at weapons that are either fundamentally broken or need to be changed to increase their reliability. This brings us to a new series of videos I'm planning to make. Now, without further ado, let's explore the Reworkshop. In the Reworkshop, I want to talk about weapons that I think need fixed, and I want to brainstorm potential fixes for each weapon. Disclaimer, this is going to be opinion-based, so please don't take everything I say as fact. With that out of the way, let's get into the topic of this Reworkshop, the Vaccinator. Being one of Medic's 4 mediguns, the Vaccinator prioritizes raising effective health for you and your team by giving the player the ability to choose a resistance against certain damage types. Additionally, it increases the uber charge rate by 67% and splits the normal uber charge into 4 separate charges. The downsides? A large reduction to overheal rate and a slower charge rate when healing overhealed teammates. On paper, the Vaccinator looks like a decent side grade, exchanging a powerful single uber for enhanced survivability against the most threatening damage type at any given moment. In practice, though, this weapon becomes one of the most frustrating things to use and play against in this entire game. You see, the Vaccinator is in a really awkward position within the Medic's lineup of mediguns. The stock medigun and the Kritzkrieg are perfect for general play because they can disrupt the flow of a game at any given moment. When we look at the quick fix, you can see that it is pretty good when your team is constantly low on health, or when you want to pocket a rocket jumping soldier bullet. But the Vaccinator? You'd be hard pressed to find this thing work outside casual servers, where it's common to see only 2 or 3 good players on the enemy team. In this clip, we were spawn camping for half the game, and it felt like, oh wait, my pocket's dead. Better kill this spy real quick and... There are a few problems with the Vaccinator. First off, it is just not game-changing enough for high levels of play. While it is banned in most competitive leagues due to its ability to nullify the Kritzkrieg, it's easy to see why teams wouldn't even want to use the Vaccinator in the first place. The weapon's damage resistance does have its merits, granting the medic increased survivability, but it's not as game-changing or as useful as invulnerability or guaranteed crits. On top of not having a rewarding Uber charge, the Vaccinator has a slow overheal rate. Overheal is very powerful. It completely changes how every class plays. When overhealed, soldiers can do more rocket jumps, scouts can tank more damage, and snipers can survive uncharged headshots. I guess the resistances and charge rate are supposed to balance the overheal rate, but like I said earlier, there's not enough with this Uber to warrant using it over stock. Focused fire, teamwork, and even melee weapons can overwhelm the Vaccinator's resistance Uber. That's not all. In order to take advantage of the faster charge rate, your team has to be below max health. This gives the enemy team an opening to take out whoever they want. Simply put, the Vaccinator inherently limits the potential of a competitive team.
So what? That's just competitive. What else do you have against the Vaccinator?
Hold on, I'm getting there. Now, let's move on to another issue with this weapon. It is detrimental to the casual player's skill. Allow me to explain my reasoning here. I find that the medic requires more knowledge about how the game flows than other classes. Medics need to know when to push, when to drop back, when to heal certain players, who to Uber, and how to avoid dying to the classes who are out to get them. When an inexperienced medic picks up the Vaccinator, their understanding of the most optimal way to play medic is thrown out the window. This weapon gains charges so fast, it becomes almost impossible for a new medic to manage their Ubers. Combine that with passive damage resistance, and you get situations where the medic becomes his own worst enemy. When I first started playing with the Vaccinator, I often found myself dying because I was fiddling with the damage resistance rather than focusing on healing people. This medigun does not teach new players how to play medic. Rather, it stalls the learning process you go through when playing the class. I admit it, the Vaccinator is my least favorite weapon in the game. Here's why. It's not used for memes, and it's not truly broken. It's in a place where it is only used to counter normal players and extend the medic's own life rather than his team's. Playing against the Vaccinator feels unfair in situations where normal players should at least be able to force the enemy Uber. Anyway, given all these issues, it's time we brainstorm some reworks the Vaccinator could use. I suggest we start by changing the Vaccinator's 4 charges into a single, longer charge, or, alternatively, 2 charges. This would put more emphasis on forcing Ubers and pressure the medic into making tougher decisions. To balance that change, I'd also take away the slower overheal downside to affect overall heal speed. Perhaps a flat 15 to 30% healing speed reduction. This could create a more interesting playstyle for medics who use the Crusader's crossbow. Overheal would be easier to spread, and the player could decide whether it's worth using the crossbow to heal faster rather than charge faster. I'd also exchange the passive 10% damage resistance against certain damage types for a stronger Uber charge. I'm thinking that a buff similar to the battalion's backup would work. Maybe some knockback resistance, a 50% reduction in damage from all sources, and the ability to choose a 90% resistance against a certain type of damage while Ubering. I'd also reduce the Uber charge rate so it builds only 30% faster than stock. This will give pick classes like Sniper more opportunities to drop the medic, as well as give the medic a more reliable and rewarding Uber charge to push the enemy team with. If these changes were implemented, my hope is that the Vaccinator would help a greater number of inexperienced players understand more about what a medic needs to do, while also giving competitive players a more useful medigun with an alternative Ubercharge. So, what do you guys think about my potential ideas? Are they okay? Do they affect the Vaccinator too much? Does the Vaccinator even need changed? Please write your opinion in a comment below, and I'll try responding. Also, please consider subscribing. It would really help my channel out with future content. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.